Welcome back to another episode of Running with Wolves, you guys. I am so excited about today's guest because most people with an audience are genuinely broke that I have met. Let that sit for a second, right? You can have the followers, you can have the reach, you can have the comments, the little dopamine hits every time you go viral, and still not be able to point to a single dollar that has put into your pocket, because attention is not business. Attention is rented. A business is something you own. And my guest today is one of the few people who has genuinely figured out the difference. Gigi Robinson turned a health crisis and a camera into a very real company. She was diagnosed with a chronic illness at 11 and couldn't follow the traditional career path, so she built a better one. She started making content, landed her first brand deal, and now to this day, a decade later, she has landed 100 plus brand partnerships with companies like Adobe, Spotify, LinkedIn, and Ralph Lauren. Written a book that has been published by the Penguin Random House, and spoken on some of the biggest stages that there are: CES, VidCon, Harvard, Yale, and Columbia. She's been to the White House more than once, and none of that came from her resume. All of it came from marketing she ran like a business. She calls herself a creator economy strategist, not an influencer, and she will defend that line to the death. Today, we're going to get into the gray area between the two, where influencing ends and great marketing begins. How she does this for her clients, and how she used her own marketing as the key, and how she used her own marketing as the key to get into some of those rooms that most people never touch. So Gigi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. You're making me blush.
Like,
that was so
stop it.
nice.
Now you don't need more blush. You're
yeah,
fine.
no, exactly. It's
Right
perfect.
before the show, she's like, do I need more blush? I'm like, no, because I'm going to make you blush. It's fine.
It's true.
I'm dead. Okay, well, I'm super excited. So let's start with, you can call yourself obviously a creator economy strategist, not an influencer. And you, like I said, will defend that line to the death. What is that line? What does that mean to you? And why do you defend it so hard?
So I actually just spoke to a reporter at Adweek about this, about using AI and AIO and instead of SEO to really optimize and strategize around my personal brand to essentially sell my knowledge. Because like you said, in the beginning of my career, I was more of a creator. And being a creator is great, but usually it has a shelf life.
Right.
And if you don't figure out how to get more revenue for yourself, you're going to burn out. And I've just found in doing this for, again, 10 years, that when you are financially stressed out and operating from a place of stress, whether that's emotional, mental, or financial stress, you are ultimately going to burn out. And when you burn out, you're unmotivated to create, you stop the momentum. And so once I unlocked that piece, I was like, oh, all I have to do is keep posting, right? And then at a certain point, I actually had a pivot with my health. So by, all the graces of everything that my family went through and just trying to help me get better, I got diagnosed with endometriosis and alpha-gal tick allergy syndrome pretty much at the same time, at the end of 2022, took my health into my own hands, and I no longer wanted to talk about health. At the same time, I had accomplished things like being in Sports Illustrated swimsuit, being invited to the White House many times to create content for them, to be in the rooms as a creator journalist at the time.
So
and I'm like,
crazy.
this is crazy. And then even after that, just being in the press, like once a week, I'll just like wake up. Oh, Gigi Robinson said this in the press. I'm like, when did I see that in
You're
the
like,
press?
when was that?
Like literally the one I posted today about The Verge was from a quote from like 2 years ago that I said in Yahoo. And you just never know when they're going to reuse it, which is still great, still counts as press. So all that to say, it led to people coming to me saying, Gigi, how do you do this? Like, do you coach people? What do you do? And I was like, I don't want to coach people. Like, I just am not at the point where spending the time one-on-one is something I want to do. I would rather go in a room and speak to 350 people and coach 350 people on a stage and do a live workshop. How much more beneficial is that? How many more people can I serve? How many more people can I help? So I was like, okay, in order to make that jump, that's also going to be a dollar jump. So I have to go from individual one-on-one help to mass help. Well, that means positioning myself as a speaker. So then I started doing more speaking. After that, I started, okay, do I want to be known as a speaker? Okay, let me be known as an author. Okay, let me be known as a strategist, because ultimately that's what I did with myself. That's what I advise people to do when I'm talking to them and giving them advice. So I talked with this reporter about just using AI to start changing the search results. If you were to look me up in ChatGPT or Claude and say, hey, who is Gigi Robinson? A lot of that is AIO that I have done, which is why creator economy strategist comes up first. And I also think there is no shame in the renaming, redesigning game.
Right.
Like the amount of times I've rewritten my Instagram bio, rewritten my LinkedIn headline, it just depends on what I want to promote at the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll take out speaker. Sometimes I'll take out author. It just depends. And I just see what leads to more money. And it's like kind of like an A/B test, but only I'm aware.
You're like, little did you know I'm revealing all of my trade secrets today on the pod.
Maybe.
Thank you so much for saving them all for us. Okay, so let's kind of, you obviously talked a little bit about the origins of your story. You talked about the model that didn't, well, we haven't talked about this yet, but the model that didn't show up at that shoot, right? And you stepping in front of that camera. Let's talk about like, when did your journey stop being this like, oh my gosh, like these things are happening to me. This is my lucky break. And when did you kind of start realizing, oh, I could control this and turning it into a strategy? Was it like the same point you kind of just talked about?
No, I always thought of it as work that I was doing to get to something I was wanting like in my life.
Yeah.
And something that Tony Robbins says a lot is that I think happiness or what is the quote? There's a specific quote. Wait, Lexi, can you look it up? It's like a Tony Robbins quote about like fulfillment. We'll know in a second.
Tony Robbins fulfillment.
No, literally, if you look it up,
100%.
But it's basically like if you're not fulfilled by the work that you're doing, then it's the greatest failure. And at any given moment, I just would think about like, am I fulfilled by the work? And the pivot that I was explaining before in 2023 at the end of 2022 was like, I was just doing this health content, advocacy content around being sick. And I was like, I just don't want to fucking be sick anymore.
You don't want to be the sick girl anymore.
And it's totally fine. Like that doesn't mean that I wasn't still struggling with endometriosis, that I still don't struggle with endometriosis. I do. Like, yes, it's just not at the center of my world. It's more of like just a piece of my identity. And I never thought of the way that I was positioning myself as something that I couldn't monetize. Like I always was just like, I'm posting this content, therefore I will make money. And also I did make a specific shift from lifestyle into the B2B world as a strategist and as a speaker, because when you go from lifestyle creator, that means fashion, that means lip gloss, that means makeup, that means travel, that can mean so many things. There is money there. Specifically, if you can convert, specifically, if you can move a lot of product for a brand. If you can't do that in today's market, it's very unlikely you'll get a high paying deal in those industries. I'm not saying you can't make money in there. A lot of the times they'll gift you a $500 purse, $1,000 purse. Maybe that's great for you at the time. You love that vibe. But for me, I was like not fulfilled by material things. So I was like, what can pay me that, you know, I use the product anyway. And I'm like, oh, I can just market LinkedIn. Like I love LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a following on LinkedIn. I'm in their creator program. I love this brand. This brand changed my life. I literally posted on LinkedIn and became a Sports Illustrated model because of it. You know, like doing that changed my life, but it didn't change my life because I was in SI. It changed myself because I was relentless in putting myself out there. And that was the B2B shift. And ultimately I call myself a B2B creator now, because I am working with these tech brands all the time, and they are consumer products, because for every podcast episode, for everything that's in this studio right now, the cameras, the chairs, the glasses we're using, the Shure mics, every single thing, and then it's going to be edited on Adobe. Okay, that's all tech stuff. That's all B2B stuff that you need in order to make this work. And I don't know. I think anytime people are like, Gigi, how do you choose something to talk about? How do you choose a partnership? I'm like, what are you wearing? What's on your face? What's on your hair? What's in your bedroom? What's around you? What are you doing for work? Think about those products and then just start talking about it. It's literally that simple.
Yeah, I love that. Going back to the Sports Illustrated stuff, when you were obviously posting on LinkedIn, was that a goal you had, or was that a really cool byproduct of your strategy?
Oh, that was just me being absolutely obnoxious. Like I had been posting on LinkedIn. I was in the creator program, and I don't know, I just was like, okay, I don't think any girls have ever posted on LinkedIn before. And tagged the editor-in-chief with a link to a YouTube video where I'm in a bikini talking about how I want to be an SI model and advocate for women dealing with chronic health issues. I tagged the editor-in-chief because I said that's the easiest way. Hundreds, if not thousands of girls are messaging her anyway on Instagram and on TikTok. Well, why not just cut to the chase? And
Yeah.
within minutes of posting, she had reshared it and talked about it. And then 2 weeks later, I was in the DR shooting. So it was just a byproduct. I didn't know it was going to work, but I had asked her like, hey, is that the reason why? And she said, yeah, because after you did that, you changed the way that people started applying. And I was like, oh.
You're like, so I'm
Cool.
a trendsetter is what you're saying.
But at the end of the day, I was like, if it works, great. But like, I didn't want to become an SI model. I didn't care. I mean, like, it was great, but that was never a goal.
Right.
It was just like, oh, this is something that I get to do because I'm already doing the work. All I had to do is put myself in front of the right people.
Right. I love that. Oh my gosh. So going back to the origins of your journey and kind of building a niche on the one thing you couldn't control, which was your health, most people, in my opinion at least, would have either been really intimidated to talk about it or would have hidden it, right? Why do you feel like, at least in the beginning, that was one of your smartest business moves, was to be really open about it? And what did that teach you that you've carried to today?
Well, I was already dealing with health issues in college, and that was the first time where I felt like it was public. So there were times where professors didn't believe me. There were times where friends didn't believe me. And I was like, how do I prove this? I was literally getting a BFA. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll just show, don't tell fundamentals of design school, you know, like just use your design thinking skills, use your video and art skills to just show them what you're going through. And then for certain classes, I did more like, you know, photo essays, more long form writing on it. I was already doing it. And then COVID happened. I was a 2020 grad, yay me. And I could either buy into the narrative of, well, Gen Z can't get a job and the job market's worse than 2008 and blah, 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 which I do think is total bullshit. Or I could do something about it. I decided to do something about it. And I also realized in talking about it on the internet, there are so many other people dealing with this, whether that's a girl, whether that's a boy, whether that's someone in Kansas, whether it's someone in Utah, or someone in New York City who lives down the hall from me. Literally 75% of Americans, if not more, live with a chronic health issue. If one person talks about it, it makes one other person feel seen. I've done my job. And that was where it started for me. And that's what led me to write my book, which was a children's book, a kid's book about chronic illness, all about resilience, about courage, about speaking up for yourself in times where, I don't know, like something I wrote in the book was like, I had to go to gym class and do physical therapy and sit out on the side, and I couldn't play dodgeball in gym class, which a lot of people loved playing dodgeball. Not me.
I hated dodgeball as a kid.
It was the worst. Like, you just get like smashed in the face with a ball. Like,
why is this fun?
Who likes that?
No one.
Literally. So for me at the time, I felt really left out. But in really going through this process of writing this children's book, I'm like, just because you feel left out in the moment doesn't mean you're alone. And when I started using that kind of ethos to in all of my content, I just realized that's what people resonated with. And then when I made it into SI, when I was at the White House, people were like, oh my God, you did it. Like, this is for us. And I was like, yeah, it is. This whole thing has been for all of you guys. And the only reason I'm able to keep on iterating and keep on developing what I'm doing is because of the audience, and they just want to see me win. Like, they really do. And I want to see them win. Like, when people message me from Australia or from Paris and they're like, your health stuff led me to talk to a specialized doctor and find this out, and now I'm on my way to healing. I'm like, oh my God, that's great. Like, I'm so happy for everybody when that happens. So I don't know. It wasn't ever a question. It was just like the right thing to do. It was the fulfilling thing to do for me because I knew that it would change someone's life for the better.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so flash forward to today, right? As far as the B2B strategy side of things, let's talk a little bit about kind of the gray area between influencing and marketing that sells, because you do a little bit of both, right? So I think my first question for you would be, when you think about these the noises, the voices.
I also didn't really go into vulnerability thing, but I could
if you want to. You totally can. It's up to you.
More.
Okay, then we'll go back. Okay.
And on the note of vulnerability, again, for me, it was never a question. For me, it's like, I don't know, like at this point, like my relationship, a lot of people don't even know that I'm in a relationship, and that's because I don't really put him on the internet. And that's fine, because that's what we talked about, and that's just how it is, and that's fine. I also never really put my family online. and I protected that. In the same way that for a long time, I didn't put cooking content online because that was something I really enjoyed doing that was just for me, that wasn't online, that wasn't a piece of my lifestyle, that wasn't a deep thing about health, which at this point I'm like, I got a breast reduction. Here were the problems with it. Like, this changed my freaking life. The endometriosis surgery, it took like 6 months to heal, but the surgery changed my life.
Yeah.
I want to tell people about that so that they know, oh, this pillow worked and this pillow was a piece of shit. Like, all of this stuff is helpful to other people. For me, I never have viewed it as like, oh, it's too invasive. Now, if and when I have a child, I'm not saying I'm going to be putting the newborn on social media the second I'm in the labor and delivery room.
Right.
I think that's cuckoo bananas. When I see videos like that, I'm like, that's too far.
Too much.
But I think, you know, postpartum recovery, what it's like being a mom right away. Like, those are different videos than like in the moment. So you just have to have your own like distinction and just discernment when you are sharing this stuff, especially because it's intimate. And then the other thing is, you just can't take other people's voices or opinions or judgments personally. Like, it literally at this point, I'm just like, great, I have my team posting all my content. So I'm not doing community management. I monitor the DMs, but I'm not doing my posting and I'm not doing my editing at all anymore.
It's so funny. You literally answered my follow-up question, because I was going to say, I mean, we both have personal brands and I'm the same way. I have very minimally put my relationship online. And when I say minimally, I mean like once every quarter, maybe. And it's like a flash of him in a video, right? So you think about, like, as someone who has a personal brand, no matter how you're leveraging it, how do you decide what you're comfortable putting in content versus not? Now, I'm very much in the same position as you, where like, I will never put my kids online. 100%. Could I talk about my own experiences? Absolutely. But I would never, anyone in my life where I'm like, you didn't ask to be in the spotlight. You didn't ask to be under public criticism. You didn't ask for these things. I did. And I feel like that's kind of the rule of thumb that I'm hearing from you, is like, use your discernment. And then if you want it, great. Other people in your life don't have to have it.
Totally. And if they want to be in it, that's fine. Like, I've had times where family members are like, haha, like, I have this content idea. I'm like, go for it.
Great, let's do it. Yeah.
Will you? I bet not.
I bet not, because can you handle the pressure?
Yeah.
No.
Not even that, but like, there really is a lot that goes into it, right? Like, everything from getting comfortable talking on stories or talking to the camera and filming that first video where you're staring at yourself in your phone and you're kind of like, this is awkward. Or like, you start recording the line of a script for a brand deal and you're like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. But I've just put in so many reps at this point. Like, this morning we filmed a brand deal in Redondo Beach and there were like people nearby in the coffee shop. I had to re-say the lines all the time. I'm mic'd up with my noise canceling mic. Who the fuck cares what other people think? Like, I don't. Guess what? Who's getting paid for that video? Me.
Not you.
Yeah.
So why do we care about your opinion?
Matter? It doesn't matter. And people just get so into the, I think, fear of judgment of what other people are going to think that it stops them from actually getting to their goals.
Yes.
And that's like a gross behavior to me.
You're like, we don't love that.
No.
Say more about that.
So part of that, I don't want to say it from like a judgmental place, but I really do think if you have a dream and you have something that's like lit within you that you just know is either going to be your $1 million idea, $1 billion idea, that's going to change the lives of other, that will enable you to like serve other people, to grow, to be an expander, to be a connector, why would you not do it? It makes no sense to me. And then to also bet on yourself, right? If you're calling yourself a creator, you damn well better be posting once a day, at least on at least 2 or 3 platforms. It is not that hard. And if you're doing it full time, there's no excuse. Yeah. So whenever I see creators and they're all like, oh, I'm a creator, and then, oh, I'm so unmotivated to post, brand deals are slow. I'm like, the reason your brand deals are slow is because you're not posting. Yeah. It's because there's no engagement. There's no engagement. Well, guess what? When a brand goes to look to hire you, there is nothing in your last 30 days of analytics. But had you posted once a day, even if your impressions were low, it would have added up. And it would have maybe led you to get paid. And if you were paid, again, this goes back to the first thing I said on this show, which is that if you are in a state of financial stress, there is ultimately going to be burnout. There's going to be depression, anxiety. You're not going to want to create. You have to just mow through that, figure out how to manage your cash flow. When you do that, I promise you, your life will change. And then you will and should be able to invest the time. It takes 10 minutes a day or less into posting one video, one post, a newsletter, a podcast. Like, this isn't hard. I really don't think it's hard. And somebody actually even messaged me the other day and she said, Gigi, you know, I just started being a full-time creator. Brand deals have been really hard for me. You know, it's so hard to stay consistent. How do you stay consistent? I said, well, first of all, I think your business mindset and managing your finances will get you farther than your talent ever will.
Yeah, 100%.
Like verbatim said that. And then she said, well, how do you know specifically? And I'm like, you can listen to my podcast about it.
You're like, and here's the episode.
So like, sorry if that was blunt, but I am blunt.
I am
and
too, yeah.
At this point, I just don't think everyone should be a creator if they are not going to invest in it and they're not going to think of it as a business.
I have the same perspective about business owners. I mean, and people will be like, damn, you're harsh. And I'm like, but that's reality.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not everyone is made to be a business owner. I'm like, some people are meant to be contractors. Some people are meant to be business owners.
Totally.
People want to be business owners because they want the freedom, the flexibility, the finances. If you cannot push through, mow through like you were just talking about, you were not meant to be a business owner in the first place.
And also being down in the dumps is the thing that is going to make you a good entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
There is not one famous entrepreneur that has a book that does not talk about, I think, Quitter's Valley, right? There's not one. Find me the book that literally doesn't have somebody talking about when they made, negative debt. Look at Mel Robbins, right? Look at Tony Robbins. Look at, I don't know about Jay Shetty, but like he's more, he had a different lifestyle before. He was like a monk before, and who knows what kind of money that was, if that was any money. Do you make money when you're a monk?
I don't think you
so.
do. No, you live in poverty.
Yeah. So like, at that point, look at him now. He has like his production studio. He's like a top podcast. I think it's incredible. It's truly incredible. You don't have to start from nothing, or maybe you do, but you just have to have this like belief that it's going to be okay and that what you're doing is going to serve and help others. And that's just what I think at the end of the day, business is.
Yeah. As a creator or a business owner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on that same topic of business, let's talk a little bit about the advising for brands that you do as far as the influencing versus like marketing that sells, right? When you are advising, what is the difference between for brands, like content that gets you seen with creators, gets you a ton of reach, gets you trust from their community versus marketing that actually makes them buy? Because I will say, I don't think most people ever get past the first part.
Totally. And I do think awareness marketing is still extremely important.
Absolutely.
A lot of the conversations, at least in the creator world, have been like, oh, well, affiliate only awareness is dead. Awareness is not dead. Like
there is no such thing as a dead internet. I saw that the other day. Someone commented that on one of my videos and they were like, dead internet theory. And I had to look it up. I'm like, then you just have shit content.
Yeah, it's not good. And at the end of the day, if you're marketing for a D2C company, if you're marketing for a B2B company, if you're marketing for an in-person events company, right? They're all going to have different goals. And so sometimes they'll come to me. It's usually small businesses and startups that will come to me, usually with a smaller following. And usually they want founder-led educational content. So that's my bread and butter.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they're like, we just want you to manage our socials. We just want you to do this specific thing. And I'm like, great, my team's got it. Lovely.
Done. Yeah.
Done. That's like an easy thing we've got down. Now, the founder-led content thing is basically coaching somebody's mindset on all of their limiting beliefs when it comes to being seen as a business owner. And sometimes people will hire me, but then they'll be like, I don't actually want to be in front of the camera.
Yeah,
so can you do
so
it?
then why are we here?
Yeah. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to be the influencer for your product. You hired me for the mindset training here to help you show up better. Then my team, once you send us the raw asset, that's where we edit, produce, help with social media management and grow and scale that. So I think founder-led content, obviously, it's super buzzy right now. It's great. It's so great. If you're not willing to be the #1 fan of your product, who will believe it?
I saw a founder the other day, and I'm not going to name names, but there was a lot of discourse in the comments, and she was like, your #1 focus should not be like founder-led marketing. There's a lot of people, I think we probably saw the same video. And I literally put in the comments, I was like, I disagree heavily as like, especially for smaller founders who are scaling. Listen, if you're fucking McDonald's, they tried to do founder-led marketing. I was like, I actually want to throw up.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm like, if you said it perfectly, if you can't be the #1 fan of your brand, and also if you are not confident in selling your brand, why is someone going to be confident buying from you?
No. And it's the other thing about it is now founder-led content doesn't just mean social media.
Exactly.
It means speaking on the panel or being on a fireside chat or doing a keynote somewhere or showing up at a big major event like Cannes
or writing
hosting writing a book, hosting your own conference, hosting your community events, getting in person. I just interviewed Tyler, the CEO of Beehive, and he basically has his own newsletter of his own product talking about how he went from like 0 to I think 40 million MMR. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's crazy. And he writes about this whole story about what a week in his life looks like and how he did it and all of his trades. It's literally his company. He said he spends, I think, 4 or 5 hours a week on his newsletter. That's a lot of time to spend writing. But because he does that, it's Tyler from Beehive. When I look him up on LinkedIn, I'm like, oh, of course there's a B next to his name. Like, that's Tyler. So I just think that if you're not willing to do that, why are you kind of in business? And then he'll show up at Cannes. Beehive did their own community events. They collaborated with other brands while they were there. Then he went on my podcast. He went on a couple other people's podcasts while they're there. If you're not showing up that way, why would anybody believe you? And then also just taking the veil off, actually, right? I asked Tyler about his mindset. Yes, I care about the product. All of the people I interviewed at Cannes, I care about their products. I care about their missions. What I care more about is the mindset that enabled them to build it.
Yes.
And that was so fun for me to do. But a lot of people skip over that and they don't realize that, oh, it's just a mindset thing. Or they'll say, oh, well, there's just so much advice. How do you choose? You just choose someone and you just go with it until you find the next person that inspires you.
Absolutely. So, and we kind of spoke to this just a little bit when we talk about like, and you tell a brand the marketing worked, right? When you're like, oh yeah, we killed this, right? What is it that you feel like is like the standout thing, or what are you pointing to if you're like, well, mindset is one, obviously, yes. But when it comes to the actual marketing of it too, because anyone can point to like views and followers and reach, right? What do you feel like in this intersection is the proof of the fact that it made money and it was successful?
I mean, if you can sell something.
Right. The sales themselves.
Yeah, the sales themselves. But like, for example, like a jewelry brand, right? Yeah. If they are coming on and doing founder content and they could have the most beautiful stuff, but if nobody's explaining to them what it is, well, why do I need to buy it?
Right.
I saw this video that was just about kind of, what was it called? I think it was like a behaviorist kind of guy. I have to find the video. But basically it was like, you know, sell me this Rolex.
Yeah.
And essentially he's talking with this woman and she's sitting there. He's like, why do you want the presidential? And she's like, because when I hit a certain level in my business, like I really need it. And he starts asking her questions and why do you want the Rolex? Why do you want the Rolex? Why do you want the Rolex? He wasn't selling her the Rolex. He was asking her why she thinks she deserves the Rolex so he could uncover her limiting belief and then tell her, well, what milestone are you looking to meet? Great, $1 million. Oh, okay, once you hit $1 million, come back. And if you haven't hit it and you still want it, okay, well then what do you have to do to get to $1 million? So I just think it's really about figuring out what your end goal is, right? So if it's, again, a jewelry brand and they're going in and they're talking about, okay, let's sell you the Rolex. Do you want the Rolex that is perfect and brand new? Or do you want a Rolex that's worn? It doesn't matter as long as the person selling it to you understands your goal in buying it. Do you want a Rolex because you want a Rolex? Do you not care about the condition? Do you not care about the rarity? It all depends on the consumer, what the consumer wants. So when you're doing a small business and you're marketing with a small business, I really do think it has to be much more consumer focused than if you're a tech brand or than if you're like a bigger company.
Yes.
Like it just has to be. That said, when I am working with B2B brands to sell on my behalf and I'm the founder, they're like, well, Gigi, what products do you use in order to make brand deals? What products do you use in order to run your business? And, you know, if Gigi can do it with these products, well, then so can you. So again, it is about meeting the consumer where they are.
Yeah. And that's interesting. I was literally just talking about this earlier today with someone else. I always tell my clients, like, what gets people obsessed with you is about you.
Totally.
What gets them to buy is about them and how you solve their needs.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing as what you're talking about. So yeah, I completely agree with you. So, I mean, I'm sure you've experienced this as well. I feel like a lot of times, and we were kind of talking about this, the content isn't really the problem a lot of times. It's either the mindset, which we've talked about, or it's also the message.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How often are you fixing what a brand is actually saying before you ever worry about like the cadence and the consistency and the mindset and the posting?
Oh, well, consistency, mindset, and posting is just a thing that you get to do without the strategy behind it. There's like what's the point?
Right.
And there are sometimes clients that come and they're like, we just want our social media to look better. Okay, look better. That's fine. Are you looking to drive sales? Nope. We just want it to look better. Okay, we can do that for you.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Great. But some clients are like, we really just want to sell. We want to inform our audience about the items in our store, the vintage items in our store, the the product that we're selling that's going to change the lives of people dealing with health issues, whatever that is. Again, it starts with a consumer and figuring out like, one, how do we move product? But two, how do we hit something emotional with the client that's either coming from an educational place or an emotional place to sell to them? And is emotional selling good or bad? I don't know, but people buy when they feel something.
Yeah.
And that's emotion. That's like just psychology of marketing, I think. And I think every marketer really should dive deep into marketing psychology, which I know you love.
I love a good psychology talk. Yeah, I was going to say we could go down a rabbit hole about that in and of itself. But I mean, like it's very true. If you don't understand what triggers that part of their brain, how the hell are you supposed to come up with that message?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then at this point, there is so much information with AI, with Google. Anytime
Yeah.
people say, well, how do you do something? Go to ChatGPT, go to Claude. Literally, I hired this one person this one time, will not disclose. And basically, when I asked questions, they said, just talk to Claude about it. No, like I paid this person and I was like, yeah, you need to like refund me. This is crazy. But at the end of the day, you really can chat with Claude about anything. You could chat with ChatGPT about anyone, like anything. You can Google, you could get access to any information you need on YouTube. If you don't put in the reps to do it, it won't work. And for me, this is something with YouTube. I have started and stopped YouTube so many times because I myself, as a practitioner of social media, have given up so many times. That doesn't mean that I'm not still cross-posting. I'm not still showing up.
Yeah.
I just accept that I'm like, one day when I maybe really take this seriously and take a step back and say, okay, I have to change my strategy. I have to give the people what they want, which I know is informational videos about how I do what I do. If I take the time to do that, what would happen? I don't know. I'm not focused on it right now because there's other fish to fry.
Yeah.
And that's fine. A lot of times people look at social media and they say, well, I want to be on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, LinkedIn, X, blah, 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 and a podcast and a newsletter and on-stage speaking engagements. It didn't all start like that. It started with Instagram. And then I started going on TikTok. And then I started posting my TikToks onto YouTube Shorts and also onto Instagram Reels. And then I started posting tweets and things on X and on Threads. And then I started writing long form on LinkedIn. And then. It's something that you build. Like, it's just like a thing that like an egg that grows in a mother's womb. Or like, yeah, you just have to think about it in that way because you can't have the world in like the first couple of months. Like, I don't think it's possible. Even when people come to me and say, Gigi, I want you to get from 0 to 10K in 1 month or in 3 months. I'm like, what kind of work are you going to put into this? Oh, well, we only want to show up once a day. Sorry, that's not going to work. You need to be posting like 8 to 10 times a day, and maybe it could get almost there, but maybe not.
But maybe not. And that's the thing too is, and I always tell people, I'm like, if someone asks you or someone tells you that they can guarantee you those kinds of results, I'm like, run in the other direction.
So far.
Because there are so many variables and I will give realistic expectations. I'm like, listen, I could totally see in a month based on past client results, it getting to this point, maybe it gets to this point. And like you said, it very much depends on how much effort you want to put into it. But if you're going to try to fucking guarantee results,
No, absolutely not. And that's something I always tell my clients. And some people decide that it just doesn't work for them because they don't want to put in that founder-led work. And that's not really anything I take personally. I think that's another thing that has gotten me through time and time again is when a client doesn't rebook, whether that's a agency client or whether that's a brand deal partner. There's been so many brand deals I've had that have been one-offs, and that's fine. That's how a majority of the creator economy works on one-off brand deals. You'll see articles about we're moving towards long form brand deals or brand ambassadorships. Not necessarily. When was the earliest point where you organically talked about a brand? And how many times did you mention them before you reach out to them for a partnership? because most people just reach out to them for a partnership, having never talked about them on the internet before. This is what we call social listening. There are many tools out there for this. Sprout Social's one. I think Metricool is one. And when you're doing that, it essentially allows the brand to see and spot where you're talking about their product anywhere, like any social platform, depends on the API keys and all that. Don't need to go into the tech data. But when you are, and you can search this up for yourself, or you can keep a database. So I keep literally a spreadsheet going back to basics.
Yeah. I love a spreadsheet.
Every single brand deal I've done.
Yeah.
Literally since I started. Like every single brand deal, which is kind of crazy.
That's insane. For 10 years. I want to see this spreadsheet.
Yeah.
It's probably it miles long.
I may have not been able to get before 2019. I will disclose because scrolling back that far is exhausting.
Too much.
It's too much.
That's enough historical data.
You know what? I think Instagram and all these places should have like a scroller the way that the iPhone does.
That would be
where you
so
could
beautiful.
Like go back to 2017 and be like, I know when I posted about Ralph Lauren.
Yeah.
Like, I need to get that post.
Yep.
Or just like a search, and you could search through your Instagram. That would
another business idea.
Get my line.
No, literally.
Or
he's gonna listen to this and be like, actually, we're gonna give you more story stickers.
I'd be like, thanks. Okay. But all that to say, like, you need to be doing the work on the front end. And you need to be talking about these brands if you want to survive as a creator here.
Agree.
So a big brand reached out to me. I have made many organic posts about them. This brand has done collaborations with a great partner of mine, Adobe. And because I have these Adobe X brand collaborations in my portfolio, I'm able to now say to the brand, oh, by the way, I've literally made sponsored content indirectly about your company. By the way, here are 3 different press articles in Business Insider, in Ad Week, and in Ad Age where I talked about your brand, as well as the fact that I was in a commercial for your brand. So yes, I would love to partner with you. What's your best offer? And if you don't have that, well, why would they book you?
Exactly.
You might have some great content about other brands, but if you're not making any organic content about them, why would they hire you? And
why would they pay you the big bucks?
Yeah, why would they? And at this point, like, it is not hard, in my opinion, to get paid $1,000 by a brand. That's like a bare minimum thing.
That's like scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, like brands need to be, you do have the potential to be paid many zeros behind a piece of content if you are doing that upfront work.
Yeah. I definitely agree. And it's the same for business ownership, right? Like, for example, I always say, like, marketing is the new business card, honestly, in my opinion. And so for me, it's like, if I know I've worked with these clients or I've talked about this industry or indirectly talked about their competitor, they're like, hey, so you talked about this, we 100% would align in this. It's like, it's the exposure, but then it's also the expertise, and it's the showing, like, hey, I know how to make this work for you.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about how you do this for clients, right? I was doing a little bit of research. You talk about this thing called the solar system model.
Yeah. So this is, I'll just use myself as an example.
Yes.
For simplicity's sake. So
tell me.
Gigi Robinson is here today.
Yep.
On the Running with Wolves podcast. But I'm only here because you know me from social media. Well, that's a piece of my world. But the way that I got into social media was I was a college influencer. And I also started at USC. So I don't know if we connected because I had a little bit of California vibes going on, because I had the USC thing going on. I don't know. That's where I started. And I was a lifestyle creator. But I was also talking about health and wellness. And that is a very California thing. But I was talking about health and wellness and growing my brand that way. And then, as I mentioned before, that's okay. To not get too far ahead of myself. Those are all different things. So the college lifestyle is one planet, right? The chronic illness is another planet. The Gigi here today as a speaker or as a creator, another planet. The author, another planet in its own way. And I just think that it will just keep growing and growing and growing. And like, as long as it's orbiting around you and your ethos, then at the end of the day, nothing really changes. That's why I can have such a robust portfolio, literally working with like dating apps to Abercrombie to fragrance to health and wellness things to now these big tech companies like Adobe and Meta. Like it can range that much because I am multifaceted and multi-hyphenate. And I think that that's great. But some people are like, you need to niche down. You need to only sell. You need to sell to one person, which I know you talk about a lot for your clients and figuring out who your ideal customer is and then just marketing to them. Like I have different accounts for that. My podcast, Creator Etiquette, my newsletter, that specifically talks to the 90% of creators that don't make more than $100,000. That is a lot of people. Forbes just released their top creator list. All of those people make multiple millions of dollars. That is not the vast majority in the creator economy. So I talk to executives about their leadership skills and their professional development skills that got them to be C-suite execs, to be paid the big bucks, so that people in the creator economy can build a career ladder for themselves.
Right.
And build the solar system. That's one page. Zeke and Trixie, my dogs, they have their own stuff. We just put a brand deal live today.
Yeah.
Multiple thousands of dollars, by the way. They
For
only
your
have
dog.
Yeah, for my dogs. Like
That's
it's
so crazy.
this is not rocket science. People love dogs.
People love them.
So I have to build a joyful account. And I have to make memes. People love dog memes. I love dog memes.
Love 'em.
Anytime I see a dog meme, I'm like, I love it. Anytime I see a golden meme, I don't even have a golden. I have two Havanese, like two small fluffy dogs. I still love it because I'm like, I love dogs and dogs give me endorphins. Then the It's Gigi page is all lifestyle stuff at this point and some career. So what I'll do is if I'm doing a day in my life vlog, that can be on its own ground, right? If I'm doing a get ready with me and yap, that depends on what I'm talking about. So sometimes like when I was in Cannes, I did a get ready with me for day one at Cannes. Now, I specifically collab posted to my Host of Influence account, which is focused on also the creator economy, but more like insights. So when I'm saying you get whatever you want out of Cannes in that get ready with me, sure, I can tag the makeup brands, which is why it's associated with my lifestyle world, but also having this multi-faceted portfolio of accounts, which I know you have too, is so important because you're speaking to all these different audiences, therefore widening the net of opportunity that you have. And now anytime I'm on a podcast or I'm speaking somewhere, a lot of the times I'll open with like, yes, and I am also a creator. And by the way, of course, I'm sure you've seen my dogs, Zeke and Trixie. I made them into influencers too. Every single time it gets a laugh. You know why? Because it's a stereotype about influencers. And being in New York, being in LA, well, every other bitch is doing this.
She's an influencer.
Yeah. So it's like, it's always funny. And then that's when I dive in with educational stuff. And I say, well, if I can make my dogs an influencer and they can get paid thousands of dollars to promote products and credit cards, by the way, to cover veterinary expenses, well, you sure as hell can get paid multiple thousands of dollars to do whatever it is that you do because you're a human.
Yes. And winning smile. I was dying when you were like, and it gives me endorphins because you reminded me so much of Elle Woods. When she was like, and endorphins make people happy and happy people just don't kill their husband.
Literally. They don't.
I'm dead. Okay, so going back to the solar system model, with all these different pages that you have, do you feel like they're representative of each of your little planets?
Yeah, of course. Like just because my It's Gigi Robinson page, like I'm not breaking down every single outfit every single day of my life, doesn't mean I don't love fashion. It doesn't mean I don't love nice things. It doesn't mean that I don't like dressing well. Like every time I'm doing a speaking gig, people are like, oh my God, I love your suit. I love your outfit. I love your shoes, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, thanks. But that doesn't mean I'm a fashion creator.
Right.
But I could. So now I started doing something at each of my speaking opportunities where I'll go through and I'll be like, this is my outfit of the day to speak here. I'm so excited. And then I tag the brands. That way, then brands will go to Shop My and they'll see that I'm talking about it because Shop My has their own social listening stuff in there.
Right.
You can also send them just like a direct link to it. And then they'll be like, oh, we would love to gift you. So I have a set of brands that like Nadine Marabi, Generation Love, sometimes Amazon will send me clothes to wear to my speaking opportunities and be on a stage in front of all these people so that when people ask, I can genuinely just do classic word of mouth marketing and say, this is a suit from Argent. This is a suit from Nadine Marabi. This dress is from Generation Love. I'm glad you love it because I love it too. And if you want the link, you can go to my Shop My. Yeah, my Shop My or my here's the link or whatever. I've not been the best at marketing with affiliate because I have so many other fish to fry. But it's
too many
something I'm
planets
working
in the
on.
solar system.
Yeah, too many things. Yeah, I'm like maybe my team needs to do that.
Very fair. You're like, maybe that's another thing we add to Lexi's plate. Sorry.
Yes, it is.
I love that. Okay. So, I mean, obviously you work with both sides, right?
Yeah.
Brands and creators. This is a really polarizing question. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you feel like each one gets most wrong about each other?
About each other. So I think definitely thinking that, yes, creators are just like one thing. All they're left to do on the internet is like talk about products, blah, 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 be a sellout, say yes to every product. And sometimes I'm not saying say yes to every product that comes your way or every brand deal that comes your way. The goal is to get to the point where you are turning down deals and you are saying not just because it's a low budget brand deal, but because it sure doesn't align or you just don't have room on your plate for it because you're getting so many brand deals. Like that does happen. And that's what every single creator should strive for. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a bad thing to constantly say yes. This is something people talk about all the time. You shouldn't say yes to everything. You should say yes to everything until you get to the point where you can't. Literally, that's it. There's this quote that I don't know the name of the person, so we're going to need to find it. Do today what others won't so that tomorrow you can do the things others can't.
I love that.
If you are not saying yes to all of these opportunities literally coming your way, being thrust upon you, well, you're literally closing yourself off to others. And some people say, well, by saying no to the opportunities, then, it's leaving room for more. Sometimes that's the case. But guess what? When you're starting out, to get paid for your first 100 posts, you're probably going to have 1 to 2 paid brand deals, right? So you have to do something 100 times in order to get paid once, maybe twice for it. And maybe those are going to be gifted collabs. They won't even be real paid brand deals. Now, the marketing in the marketing world and the influencer marketing world is much different than when I first started. So maybe those rates are higher. I don't know what it's like to start a brand new account with 0 social presence today. Like even if I were to do that, people would be like, well, you're Gigi. So
yeah, it clearly is not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same
starting point.
For my dogs, it definitely was a little bit of a wake up call, but I'm like, that makes sense. Like it's a dog page. They're not human. Sure. But still, like I'm a human and I have this following, like, you should pay me multiple thousands of dollars for this at this point. So again, I don't know where to start, but I do think people get wrong that you should close yourself off and not take every brand deal. I think you should build your portfolio, get every brand that you can in your portfolio. It's going to be a bunch of random startups at first, probably, or some random brands that you got gifting from. And then over time, you will change it every year. Actually, I change the brands on my website that I'm promoting, because every year it changes.
Absolutely.
And some years it's literally just like much less than others. But in a way, having less brand partners shows and signifies that the deals are so large that at this point, I don't need to take all of them.
Yeah.
So it just takes time. And then on the other side, I would say that founders think social media is easy. They think it's like, oh, well, you just do a post. It's not that hard. Okay, well, to make a social feed for a brand, right? This requires graphics. This requires brand shoots, photography, editing, now AI content creation if some brands want it or they want to simp on AI.
I was like I literally saw a girl the other day. I had a call with her and she was like, I'm in this program. They're having me create all these videos, blah, blah. I was like, oh, okay, cool. No problem. Look her up afterwards. It's a fucking AI profile.
Wow.
AI videos, I'm like, who are we? Are we okay? It's insane.
No, it's crazy. And like for some people it might work.
For some.
But certain maybe traditional marketers, I don't think we like it. I think consumers also say that they feel like things are fake when it's AI.
Yes.
Now, look, AI can be great. Let's say you do a still life photography of these beautiful flowers here and we don't like this background. Well, oh, AI, can you just like make the curtains green?
Right.
Okay.
A different color.
Perfect use case for it. You don't need to go to Photoshop. You could do some prompts in Adobe Firefly. That's easy, or whatever AI of your choice.
Yeah.
That is where I think AI is productive. Now, if you're going and saying, hey, Firefly, make me a brand new picture from scratch with the flowers, and I want the flowers to look like this, and I want it in tropical jungle. Well, nobody's going to believe that we're recording a podcast in a tropical jungle. So that's something that you just have to, again, have discernment and be a human and put your creative director hat on. And then again, explaining to people on the brand side, like, you're going to need to shift your mindset. You're going to need to be willing to show up for 5 minutes a day and record one video and send it to me. I don't care if it's a 30-minute video. I will edit it for you. And then realizing it's coming up with a concept, sending you the concept, sending you the inspo, coordinating when you're going to get me the video, having you record the video. Once the video is recorded, then editing the video, then going through approvals on the video, then posting the video, then capturing the analytics and sending the client a report, and then rinsing and repeating. That was like over 10 steps, plus making graphics for them, plus linking stories to things, plus updating their website sometimes. So it's not like it's just social media,
one
it's
and
just
done.
a post. And right now I think Slack has been like one of the best tools to manage all of these kinds of communications with clients, just because Otherwise, it's like I'm so done with email. Like,
Oh my God.
why is email so outdated?
You couldn't convince me to use email. I literally make all of my clients get on Slack.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry. I know you might use Teams. I know you might use other stuff, but if you're hiring me, we're going to use Slack.
Good to know. We should have our own Slack huddle.
I was going to say, let's do our little Slack connect.
Let's
Sounds
do
good.
it.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit because I want to hear from you how you have leveraged your own stuff to get into these massive rooms, right? We're talking about the White House. We're talking about Harvard, Yale. We're talking about VidCon, all of these massive stages. And you've touched on it a little bit, but none of that came from a resume from you, which I love, right? All of it came from your marketing.
Yeah.
And you spoke to the point that all of this was strategic. But if you could go back and tell like Gigi from the past one thing where you're like, this is the thing that will make the difference, what do you think that was?
I honestly think anytime anybody meets me, they think I'm like 5 to 10 years older than I actually am. Not because I look it, but because of how much I've done. And
you're like, excuse me.
Yeah, no. They're usually like, oh, wait, how old are you? And I'm like, oh, at the time when I was in SI Swim, I was like, I'm 24. They were like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
well, and even now you're like, oh yeah, I've been at this for 10 years.
Yeah.
You're 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like genuinely since I was a child.
Yeah. No, but I'm the same way. I tell people the exact same thing where I'm like, I've been in a decade. I've been in marketing and sales. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I started working when I was fucking 18. Like,
yeah. And there's just something about my mindset that's been like an insatiable desire to always do more and help others and expand and be a connector. Like that's always been there. Even in college when I was a brand ambassador. And by the way, I was like full course load, dealing with health issues, convinced I could do 2 internships at once at Warner Bros. And Paramount, which is like, I had to space them out a little because technically they're direct competitors.
You're like, sorry guys.
Yeah.
You hopefully didn't hear it here.
And what actually ended up happening is I got the offer for Warner. I accepted that one as a senior in college, which again, I was like, yes, I wanted to design movie posters. This was like my dream.
And saying yes to everything.
Yeah. And I said yes to Warner Bros. And I said the same day I said yes and I pressed sign on the contract, I get an inbound about the interview for the role with Paramount. And I was like, wait, but one is in digital marketing, one is in photography. Technically, they're different. I want to do both because I want to know how to shoot the photos on the billboard. And then I want best in class advice on how to market major movies, how to be a part of the press junkets and all this stuff. And basically, I went through the whole interview process. I just withheld the truth a little.
You're like, we just didn't say much about that.
I just kind of got through it. And they never really directly said until the moment they were sending me the paperwork, hey, are you, do you have any offers anywhere else? And I said, actually, I do. I would be able to do both. But at the same time, I understand if it's not going to work. That said, I actually don't have a summer internship. Would you be open to having me for the summer? And they said, oh, actually, that would be great. That way we don't have to hire anyone else. And we signed the deal just then. And actually, something that was on my resume at the time when I was a college student was the fact that I worked at the Aerospace Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a thing that got my resume for a photography opportunity through the door. And they said, well, what were you doing at Aerospace? I said, oh, it was just like a photography job. It was really awesome. I got this experience working with high security clearance because it was an FFRDC, government controlled space stuff. That's all I know about that at this point in my life. I forget a little. And I was able to work with these incredible people and get up really early to watch these rocket launches and like do photography of this like space innovation research stuff. And they were just really intrigued. And the hiring coordinator had a dad who worked in the aerospace industry. So it was an emotional connection she felt to my resume, seeing that I had experience there, not because I was a good photographer. Also, the security clearance thing, working in a high security thing, especially when you're going to be on set with movie stars.
Very much so.
Yes.
You know how to act. And if you're going to bring on a summer intern, they're like, I don't know, especially a college kid, right? In their eyes. Yeah.
So again, I said yes, but I also asked for opportunities. And I said, if it's not going to work now, can it work in the future? And they're like, yeah, it will. So there was that. I'm kind of losing my train of thought with the original question.
I was saying, so what advice would you give? So it's
the advice,
ask.
Definitely ask and just be so relentless about just being like, if not now, when?
Exactly. I love that. And you kind of answered my follow-up question. I was going to say, did you pitch your way in? Mm-hmm. So let's kind of shift, obviously, to advice to founders who are in a similar position, right? So if they want to get on stages, presses, partnerships, not creators, but founders, what were you doing in your content that made you undeniable to these like gatekeepers?
Well, I never viewed them as gatekeepers.
Interesting.
I just viewed it as something that I hadn't figured out how to reach yet.
Okay.
So with press, a lot of people think it's so hard to get a
so
Forbes article. It's
so
exclusive. Well, it's not if you do your due diligence and you read the news. Surprise.
If you're informed, weird how they want you to inform their audience. Yeah.
So something I learned actually at Warner that a boss had told me was this thing called the daily trades. And that was the assignment. They said every single week or every single day that I was in for the internship, Google, what is in the news about the entertainment industry that you found interesting, or about a different movie studio's marketing in the digital world, or marketing on a movie that was different and interesting. And we're talking 2019, 2020, so early days of TikTok.
Yes.
And that's what my research was about. And also I did go to USC, so doing due diligence and citing things is like a normal part of my workflow, just as like something I do. And that's something I have always encouraged my team members to do as well. Especially back in the early days, I was like, guys, I really want you to do this spreadsheet and just like do things so that you can be informed about and pull one line from the whole thing or one insight, and then we can go make content about it because it's topical.
Yeah.
So when you realize news is topical and it's in a cycle, all you have to do is pay attention to what they're writing about. And from there, usually it depends on the publication. But let's say something like a Forbes, usually on their profile will have like a contact or a hyperlink.
Yeah.
The trick is to double click it and then see when it says like email, and it usually your email pops up. If not, if you get one email, you usually just try the format. You can look up their email. You can go on Muckrack, which you can pay for to see their email to pitch them. Now, when you're pitching a journalist, no, hi, it's me. I'm Gigi. I want a story written about me. Nobody gives a fuck.
No.
You have to have something worth talking about. So for me, again, at the time when I was dealing with my health issues, it wasn't about, and the reason I think the New York Post picked me up when I wasn't as I swim, it wasn't about, another Sports Illustrated model, and this is why she has to be the centerfold of the New York Post. It was, I turned my sickness into a selling point. That's what it was literally about. I didn't choose the headline. That's something for another day. But the reason I was in SI Swim in the first place was to advocate for women dealing with health issues, to be like representation for women, showing them that like, you don't need to be this like traditional view of an SI swimsuit model to wear a bikini, to be in a swimsuit, to do a photo shoot, to have a centerfold. Like, you really don't. And then just from there, I didn't even pitch that. That was organic. But by doing the stuff and doing the content and doing the work, and then also being in the know about the journalists writing about this stuff, following, engaging, liking their stuff on LinkedIn, commenting, even DMing them when they post a story, a new story. Hey, I really loved this. By the way, if you ever need a source about X, Y, and Z, would love to, give you my thoughts. I've been loving your article about Sally and this thing you said. Like, I really love that. Or insert your own opinion into their DMs, in their face. They will then see it, and then maybe they'll ignore you, but maybe one day you'll get a message that says, hey, by the way, would love to include your perspective. So for me with press, I never was ever approaching it like, hey, Susie, I would love for you to write a story about me because I want to be verified on TikTok. Like, that is like also such BS, because now you can just buy verification, which whatever. I've never bought that. I've only gotten it because of press. And I don't know if that's like dead. Like, I don't know what people are doing these days, but
for TikTok, I feel like not as much. For Instagram, it's dead.
Yeah. And I just think at the end of the day, like, if you want press, it's really not hard to get. You just also have to start putting your marketer hat on, marketing yourself as the industry expert. And, or you have to be doing something so fantastic that it catches their eye, right? Alex Earl's success, like, she's going to get press because she, like her or hate her, she grew her following massively. That in and of itself is something that journalists are perplexed by. Did she get lucky? Was it oh my God, I have acid reflux. Did she get lucky? Okay. Did she have a formula for success? I don't know what her answer is. I mean, it seems to be a little bit of both, and that's totally fine. But somebody that's smaller, I have just over 500,000 followers across all of my brands, but I've been featured in hundreds of press articles. I made hundreds of thousands of dollars. People say that's not, a reality. Like, that can't happen for me. Well, why not?
But it is. And it's also manufactured too.
Totally. And also, a lot of people, specifically creators and maybe also founders, need to get better at media training. And it's not hard. Yes, it comes from practice in being on camera and in doing podcast interviews and in pushing yourself to be on live TV. Even still, I get nervous when I go on live TV. I get nervous when I go up on stage, but I change my state so that I don't embody that when I am on camera.
Yes.
And if I'm, again, manufacturing the perception of myself, I'm still being truthful.
Right.
I'm just entering a different state in order to help my brand continue to grow.
I call it my Beyonce Sasha Fierce moment. It's the same thing. You create an alter ego. You really do. And anyone who talks about having nerves speaking in their marketing, anything, press junkets, it doesn't matter. They literally talk about like, I just kind of step into this alter ego. Like
you have to.
Shelby Sopp, she was one of them.
I love her.
She's been in the press all the time. She's talked about that. She's like, I drink my energy drink and it transforms me into this new person. And I'm like, it's the same thing with that.
And with press, like I think press is just as important of a factor in your marketing these days than the social media itself.
Agree.
Something that I do and that we've just recently started doing more and more on my page, like I've been in so many press articles. Sometimes we'll reuse them. Sometimes we'll use them as headlines for videos that we're making or email newsletter subject headlines, just so that the SEO really pulls, like it pulls it all together. But we just started posting them like as soon as, even if we have scheduled content going out, I'm like, this is our bonus post of the day and that's fine. And we post 2 a day and then people are like, OMG, this is crazy. Like I aspire to be like you with your media presence. As I said before, the one I literally posted today was a quote that I did in Yahoo like a year or 2 ago.
Yeah.
And it's in The Verge, which is a great business publication now.
Right.
So you just never know. And you just always have to stay like brand safe. You always have to be mindful that anything you say can and will be used maybe against you or for you.
In a court of law and unfortunately in your brand perception.
Yeah. Or fortunately in brand perception because you control it. This is the one time in marketing where I think there's a stage that you are able to actually control. You're able to manufacture whatever it is that you want. Whether people think you make millions of dollars, whether they think you're fucking broke. Like you and the way that you show up online is going to shape that. And so, I don't know. Sometimes I think about, well, do people like the fact that I sometimes show up without makeup? I personally, if we're just hanging out, usually I won't wear makeup.
I'm the same way.
So it's like, that's just like how I am. But when I'm on camera, I love being polished. So I'm going to always put that forward. Also because I think brands like it better, unless it's a health brand. And they do kind of want that transformation of on a bad day. And on a bad day, I'm not wearing makeup. So you just got to
give the people what they want.
Yeah, and give the people what they want. And if you have to hire a publicist, I would not hire a publicist to get you press. I would hire a publicist or a marketing consultant to help shape the public perception of your work and train you so when the opportunity comes to speak on live TV, when the opportunity comes to go on to podcasts, which by the way, can start by literally DMing. I think I DM'd you. I'm coming to LA.
Yeah.
Do you like want to do a podcast?
I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
That's all it took. That was how I started speaking on podcasts. I've been on over 150 podcasts. That's a lot. And then I've also hosted over 150 podcasts. Like that is a lot of talking, guys. There are hours.
There's a lot of yapping.
There's a lot going on here. And in almost every one, I try to say different things.
Yes.
And I do that in order to target the different people in all of these other people's audiences. But if I didn't do that for myself, I would have hired maybe a publicist or a marketing person to say, do this for me. That's why there's so many agencies that people hire in the publicity world to, you know, get them press, but they don't realize what goes into it. I did an episode with this amazing publicist who's a friend of mine, and she does a lot of like the reality TV stars. And she basically said, we have to figure out their story and all these different angles and things like that. And then we have to build the relationship with the journalist, or because we have the relationship, we just say, oh, we have this new client, blah, blah, blah. This is what they're all about. But sometimes they have to also have additional sessions on media training and they have to have all these other things. So if you don't have that public persona and you're not willing to say it in front of 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people, then you should not be even saying it in front of one person. So until you figure that out, you shouldn't be in the press. That's what I think.
I love this. Honestly, I'm like, thank God I'm not the only one giving tough love anymore.
No.
Like we needed this on this show.
Yeah. I was having this conversation with my team member before this about like, I really do think people come to my pages because I am so blunt. I hate when people sugarcoat things.
I'm the same
I hate
way.
when people say like, oh, but being a creator is so easy. Access to being a creator is easy. The creator economy is democratized. Yes, it's easier than ever to become a creator. It's harder than ever to maintain and stand out. Why? Everybody's going to the same AI chat to ask for content ideas, specifically viral content ideas, without using their data, without informing their decisions based off of real insights from their audience, based on what's working, based on what's not working, based on the industry trades. And as a result, their content's falling flat and they're broke and they're upset and they lost their job and whatever. And does it work for some people? Of course. Again, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Some people get lucky, but for the vast majority, the creator economy is democratized. People are just not operators. They're just more of doers. And when you're just a doer, you can't ever grow. You're just doing instead of operating so you can scale.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Okay, so in wrapping up, because we've talked about so many different things today, obviously, creator economy, PR, marketing, all the things. If you had to give one piece of advice to creators and to brands, what would that be?
The piece of advice to brands, is it to brands like looking to
brands
shop on
you would
social?
advise.
Okay. One piece of advice to brands I would advise is get ready to change your mindset and get out of your own way. Because if you can't think outside of this camera, you can't think about the people that you're speaking to, the real customers that are going to walk through your door that you're going to meet in person. And if you're not talking to those exact specific people, then your marketing is going to fall flat. Your social is going to fall flat. And when we work together, it's not going to work. Well, it's not going to work. It's just not going to be the result that you want.
Right.
Because you're not putting it in. And if you're not working at 100% of the deal, well, then you're kind of wasting your money.
Yeah.
For creators, again, it's not that everybody should be a creator. I think social media has this incredible opportunity that allows you and enables you to do whatever the fuck you want with your life.
Yeah.
I literally was in the south of France at Cannes making money, and people said, Gigi, why weren't you enjoying Cannes? I said, I had the best time. And guess what?
And I made money.
My mantra of the week was do good work with great people and have fun doing it. That is all I want to do ever in work. Like, I get to say work is fun. How many people do you talk to that aren't entrepreneurs that say they hate work? They loathe it. I love working.
I love my job.
You know why I love my job? Because I'm able to come here on a Thursday afternoon and talk to one of my internet friends, meet in person, have an amazing conversation. And then guess what? I get to go to dinner with another friend or another brand or whatever. And then tomorrow I get to advise a client and do creative direction for them with my team member that I flew here. And then we get to recap. And then next week, completely different. Like, I have another brand dinner and then I'm speaking with the Snapchat team in person in New York and then a speaking engagement. Like, every day is different because I've designed it that way. And that's okay. And you can design your own life that way too. It's just what do you want? And I actually think a lot of people don't have a target about what they want.
Yeah.
And they don't know what their life plan is, or they don't foresee like what's going to happen in 3 years, in 5 years, in 1 year, in 1 month. What would your life look like if you decided to actually take a bet on yourself and stay consistent with this? I don't know. Is the first 100 followers going to be hard? Yeah. Is the first 1,000, 10,000? Yes. Those are probably the hardest. Is the first sale hard? The first sale, whether it's $1 or $15 million, like it's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard.
Either way. And so people just want to be served things in like this kind of entitled way. You have to work for it. Like the days are, this is not get rich quick.
No,
with that.
This is get rich after a very long period of time.
Yeah. And I just think like a lot of the work that I've been doing is paying off publicly. It always has been. But I just feel like I'm at this breakthrough where I can really start to see myself going like I've been here for a long time. And I was never in Quitter's Valley. And yeah, it's just going up. And that's the most validating feeling as a business owner. If it were to all go away tomorrow, how would I start over? I think about this every day. And I'm like, how can we do better? How can we serve more people? How can we help people? And if we're not constantly expanding and thinking in that way, and we're thinking in if my business dies tomorrow way, well, my business will die tomorrow. That's not an option.
Yeah.
And too many creators treat their content that way.
Yeah.
Because of that, they fail, they burn out, they end up getting a 9-to-5. Totally fine option. Totally fine. A majority of people are 9-to-5 business people.
Yeah.
So that's my long-winded way of saying you just have to go for what you want and know what you want.
And I was going to say, and the last thing that I will point out is just a reminder, we are both 10 years into this. And I echo the same thing you said. I feel like this year is finally the year that things are like kicking off. Have we made great revenue before? Yes. Are we getting more known? Are we getting more opportunities, more doors open now? Yes. And we are literally both 10 years into this. So, and it goes back to what you're saying. This is not get rich quick. You have to be able to be resilient, power through, because it will pay off. But you cannot be asking yourself, I'm 10 days into this. I'm 10 weeks into this. I'm 10 months into this. Where are my opportunities? You have to grind and put in the work and be okay with it taking a minute. So,
and also you have to not allow other people's judgments to cloud what you're doing, whether that's a friend, whether that's a relationship, whether that's family. Like, you almost have to close yourself off to what other people think about what you're doing. And I think another quote my dad always has said to me is, your opinion of me is none of my business. And as a result, well, look at me now.
You're like, look at me. I literally don't give a fuck what you guys think.
I mean, I care to the extent that I care. It's not like I'm being malicious.
Exactly.
And some people think being blunt is being mean. I don't. I think it's knowing what I want, standing my ground, building what I'm working towards, and not letting other people's opinions change the course of where I'm going.
I agree. I love that. Well, thank you for being here. Talk to my audience a little bit about where they can find you, what you have coming up, all the things.
Simply put, you can Google me. Gigi Robinson.
No big deal.
My SEO is pretty great. You could ask ChatGPT about me. You could, ask Gemini, whatever. You can Google me. My website's gigirobinson.com. All my socials are the @ the word it's, and Gigi Robinson. So it's Gigi Robinson. Or you can look up Host of Influence for more creator economy content, my podcast and newsletter, Creator Etiquette. If you want some dogs, Zeke and Trixie. Most importantly, I want all of you to get onto LinkedIn, make your first LinkedIn post with your biggest takeaway from this episode, and including you.
I love that.
And from there, just make sure you're posting about yourself, your business, your work once a week. Watch how your life will change. And that's that.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. This was so much fun.
Thank you. It was so much fun.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, you guys.